Welcome to the Dark Souls DLC review through. The first time I'm doing a series on my channel, and a test to see if I actually followed through with finishing it. So let's see which Souls game we'll be looking at today. Good old Dark Souls 3. It's one of the few games that I keep returning to, whether it be to try to do a challenge run, or make a new wacky build such as the Shirtless Clubman. However, during my many years of playing this game, I had never gotten around to playing the DLCs. And that's probably because I didn't own them. But now I do. And now I can talk about them for 5 to 10 minutes. So that's kinda cool.
The ashes were too.
As you can probably tell from the expertly crafted title, this video will specifically focus on Ashes of Ariandel, the first of the two DLCs. I won't really be discussing the actual core gameplay and mechanics since I feel that most people have a fairly decent grasp of the gameplay loop of Dark Souls, but if you need a quick refresher, here goes. Run around area, spam attack button. Find boss, spam attack button. Wow, very insightful. So, to start, this DLC takes place in the rotting painting of Ariandel, and oh my god, is this place gorgeous. My favorite area in Dark Souls 1 was easily the painting of Ariandel with its beautiful snow-covered buildings and the amount of verticality it had. Ariandel is just Ariandel, but bigger and better. The whole area of Ariandel can be broken up into segments. You got the snow zone. You got the Snow Zone 2, but with ruins. You have Unstable Bridge, classic bridge, we all know this bridge. You got the Corvian Settlement, which is my personal favorite area in the DLC. Then you got the mountains, and finally the Rot Zone? I'll have to work on that name. But anyway, I love all these areas. They do great in recapturing the beauty that Ariandel set, while also adding in the threat of the rot in the painting. The verticality in the Corvian Settlement is excellently done. There are some sequences where the floor falls out from under you that makes for a very good surprise. I think it's safe to say that From knocked it out of the park on the level design. But that isn't the only area they did well on. Enemy design and variety were very well executed in this DLC. Sure, you have a couple reskinned enemies. Crabos are still Crabos, and yes, they do want to give you the Stabbo. The wolves are just a reskin of the dogs, but with a howl mechanic. However, the wolves look so cool and fit so well into the world that I can't really be mad at it. There were also other enemies such as Bug and Tree. The main enemy types that really worked well though were the Corvians, the Millwood Knights, and the Forlorn. The Forlorn are kind of basic boys, but there's nothing wrong with that. They're your standard humanoid enemies that don't pose too much of a threat unless you catch them in a group. They're also probably the most common enemy type you'll see in the expansion. Just overall a solid enemy. The Millwood Knights, on the other hand, are very imposing. If you aggro two of these big boys at once, good luck. These guys also have the coolest weapons. Some have an axe with the ability to cause earthquakes at the player's feet. Others have a bow that create explosions wherever the arrow hits. These guys are just flat out cool, but not as cool as the Corvians. Even though half the Corvians you see are literally withering away and pose no threat, their design alone puts them as my favorite enemy in this expansion. The fact that they all look so feeble, and that half of them don't even attack you, adds so much to the story and lore element of the game. And with the Corvian comes the Corvian Knights, a group that decided to embrace the rot and became stronger from it. You see these guys slaughtering their own kind, those who decided to go against the rot in favor of fire. It's safe to say that the Corvian Knights are the toughest enemy of this expansion. They have a seemingly unlimited endurance pool, and their moveset is extremely quick, oftentimes using a mix-up between claws and a rapier, which is just so cool. But you know what is cooler? The fact that you can use the claw-rapier combo as a weapon. Now we're talking about weapons. I gotta pat myself on the back for that awesome transition there. I personally didn't try very many of them, The main one I tried was the Crow Quills or the Claw Rapier combo, and the weapon art was amazing, albeit not as effective as the Sellsword Wind Blades. But from what I've seen, there are so many other cool weapons to try out. The Onyx Blade engulfs itself in black flames. The Millwood Greatbow allows your arrows to create explosions. The Earthseeker creates earthquakes at your enemy's feet. Every weapon implemented into this DLC feels so special, with all of them having crazy weapon arts. However, the weapon pool is admittedly a bit small, with only 14 new weapons, but I do believe in quality over quantity, so I'll give it a pass. Now we have come to this DLC's greatest downfall: the bosses. The first problem is the quantity of bosses. If we look at the DLCs of every other Souls game, we would be led to expect at the very least 3 bosses. Unfortunately, Ashes of Ariandel offers only 2, and one of those bosses, the optional one, is just a really weak fight. I think my reaction after fighting the boss basically sums up my feelings towards it.
Dude, this is so dumb! That was so dumb! Oh my god, dude. So stupid easy. That's so annoying. Wow.
It's hardly a boss, but From decided to give the Gravetender and his doggo a red bar at the bottom of the screen to make it feel like a boss fight. I felt like this was more or less an NPC encounter. The Gravetender is a unique enemy, but his wolf is nothing new, appearing multiple times before we even reach this encounter. The wolf will never amount to anything more than a Sif wannabe. Luckily, the final boss came through, delivering one of the fastest paced fights in the game.
Fret not, Father. We have no need of thy flail. 'Tis only the flame quivering at misguided ash. Please avert thine eyes. I will snuff out these ashes for good.
And this fight has 3 phases. 3 phases! You have to kill Frida. Then you kill Father Ariandel and Frida. Then you kill a juiced up version of Frida. This fight is insane and intense, and I love it. This one actually presented some form of a challenge. To be honest, I was chugging down Estus most of the fight in the corner. I did complete this one on my first try thanks to the Sellsword Wind Blades, but the challenge was definitely there and I was on the edge of my seat throughout the fight. I'm glad From at least got one fight right.
Oh, finally, you have come. Oh, wondrous Ash, grant us our wish. Make the tales true, and burn this world away. My lady must see flame, and you have only to show her.
And now, finally, we have come to the lore. It's amazing how Souls games are able to accomplish so much world building without even saying a word. Ashes of Ariandel managed to stay on track with this trend. I think it's best that I don't try to describe the lore for fear that I will butcher it. Instead, I'll put a link to a lore video on the DLC by Vadi Vidya, a lore expert and Dark Souls enthusiast. To put it simply, the lore is both deep and interesting, featuring the battle between fire and rot. I should probably stop now before I mess up some minute story detail. So that is Ashes of Ariandel in a nutshell. It's an unfortunately short DLC, but what it gives is worth the try. While the bosses are a bit of a disappointment, the game definitely makes up for it with its area quality. Bottom line, it's solid. A 6.5 for me. Worth the pickup if it's on sale. Thanks for watching the first installment of my Dark Souls DLC review through. Next on the list will be the Ringed City, and it should be a good one. From there we will work our way backwards through the series. So if you enjoyed what you saw here, make sure to give it a like and perhaps maybe subscribe? Just kidding, just kidding. Unless